can do so much with it. You can
And how much are they paying you?
Dude, make a Task Warrior
Task
training.
Warriors is a nonprofit. It's not a business.
Oh,
It's
really?
Just, a bunch of developers put it together, and it's open source code. It's
That's cool.
That's essentially what the video that I released yesterday, but I got wrong is I put the code in wrong in the video. Like I taught it wrong, so I got to redo it.
Oh, that's not us.
It's
a different thing.
Dude lunch.
I saw.
It's a different
It's
brand.
lunch, dude.
Yeah.
Lunch Dude.
Our top competitor.
The Lunch Dude.
Our only.
He's got 24 subscribers.
We are live now.
So you missed it anyway. You missed me talking, which is good for you. Anyway.
Well, no, we were talking about tasks. They lost out on the rich corpus of awesome on your theory on how tasks are run.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you made a great point. You look at a whole list of tasks in your system. I know you've shared this with me. You look at a Basecamp to-do list, and you're like, where do I start? You know? And
Well, that is the crux of the problem. Where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
I have this list, and 100% of the time it's overwhelming. And then another 100% of the time, it's like it's so easy to just, I can do this in 5 minutes. I'm just gonna take this one, and then you feel accomplished. But still, at the end of the day, the most important tasks, which you don't know where they are because you haven't sorted them, don't get done. And then after 3 weeks, maybe it's a client, maybe it's a colleague, maybe it's a director, a boss, whatever. They're like, "Hey, what is this?" And you're like, I totally forgot because I was busy, I was doing stuff, but the stuff that you were doing wasn't. So I just like to remove that anxiety of wondering if I walk into a meeting, if I get on a call with a client on 5 minutes notice, can I rest on the fact that I've been putting my time where it needs to go? And if you have a system that always keeps your tasks in priority order, and then you keep yourself accountable to work from the top down, then you put yourself in a space where you don't have to worry. Am I working on? Did I do the best things?
As somebody who's not as focused on that, I agree that it's really important. And when I say not as focused on that, I mean, I don't take the time to build a system like that or manage a system like that right now in my life, in my to-do. And my to-dos are based on my calendar.
Sure.
In Outlook. So I think ultimately, to me, it would be interesting, it doesn't matter what system it is if there could be some sort of visual, I'm just thinking, I'm dreaming of a product right now, where something that's visual and compelling and tied to what you're talking about, but it would show me on my calendar, almost layered in some way, yes, you have all of these other things, but today...
Yeah, this is what's...
the
next
today,
evolution...
These are the things
the reason why I went to Time Hero, by the way, I mentioned them before.
Yeah.
Hold on. Since we are live now, let's welcome any viewers and give them some context here.
We were going for straight into the action sequence.
I know. Well, we've been live for 3 minutes, so we're straight in the action sequence.
So
Pause.
Greg is
roll
taking
credits.
it 3 minutes earlier.
That's it.
That's what we're doing.
Flashback. Hey, what's up? Welcome to Dude Lunch, episode 8. Coming to you live from the Monkeypod Worldwide headquarters. Got the dudes here. Say hi, dudes.
And do that.
Hi, dudes.
Hi.
Well, hold
What
on.
up?
No, whoa.
We are the dudes, you are the guests.
Yeah, and then special dude guests, and as you know, Dude Lunch subscribers, dude is a gender agnostic term around these parts. So we've got Paul and Brina. Thank you for joining us. Say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
There. Yeah. Never mind their premature hello. It happens to the best of us, so no big deal. We're talking about task management currently, which started with me trying to understand Brett's recently emerging, that was a lot of flies, recently emerging video skills. And yesterday he published a video on Task Warrior, which he has subsequently taken down because he had a command wrong. And I looked really smart, but then I said, for people who don't know, what does that mean? And here we are. So we're talking about task management
30
systems.
minutes later, here we are.
Well, yeah, I think ultimately the question is if you're not Paul Sokol or Brett Martineau,
Which
what
most
is,
of us are not those
Yes.
people.
99.9% of the population are not.
if you're not similarly wired,
Yeah,
Well,
and
so
like
the-
77%
Are,
of the
what
people at the
what
table
what
are
does
not?
it what does what like if you go and you ask 100 entrepreneurs how they manage their
66%.
tasks, how many are going to answer like I
course.
answered, which is I just use my calendar to like prioritize what I'm
Probably-
working on,
Probably.
versus I actually use like a task management tool.
Well, so here's the thing.
In conjunction with it.
The task warrior is just and it's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. If you don't have a system that defines for you what priority means, then task warrior is just
It's
as good as
nothing,
it's just
yeah.
like everything else. The
Yeah.
difference is that task warrior gives you the ability to define priority attributes, and it leaves it open. So
How many variables?
So
Yeah,
as
all
many
right,
as you want.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is you can create as much complexity as you want in
Yeah.
the priorities. You can go as crazy, and I've been gone there. That's where I'm at. But honestly, it's as simple as list your clients or your projects or
Rate
your
them.
whatever. Rate them, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. This is how I rate mine. How much do I get paid? How much do I like them?
Where does Folklore Creative sit?
So what task
bottom of
management
both.
tools have you used in the past?
I don't
Like,
I've
what have you
used-
tried?
Don't like it.
So I've used Trello, I've used Asana, I've used Monday.com, which used to be, what was it? It was
Todoist or
Monday.
okay.
Depulse, yeah.
The Pulse was Monday? Or that's
Monday
something
was Depulse, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Monday
Okay.
is Monday is
Monday has great
massive
marketing.
now.
and
yeah,
they-
Monday
the
is
rebrand is
all
they're really
over.
good.
San Like if you go to
They're
San
doing a really good job.
Francisco,
Yeah.
there's Monday
Billboards
stuff all
everywhere.
over.
Okay.
Someone's putting
Basecamp, I come from 6 Division stock, so I have lots of, I did my time with
Yeah.
Basecamp. I've used just tasks like Google Tasks or Outlook Tasks or whatever. I've used the write it down on a piece of paper in a notebook method, and like a bunch of others. I even found
And so does Task Warrior add on? Does it make one of those more functional, or does it replace that and is better because of
it replaces
the logic or the way you can let it help you prioritize?
it's a system that would be in place of
Okay.
any of those.
Is it
and
paid or free?
It's free.
How would
It's
you
open
handle,
source.
like, I have worked with different clients who all have used different project managements. So, would the only way to be just, like, copy my tasks over to one other one so I have them?
So actually, I had a question. So you said the word project. We were talking about tasks.
Yeah, task management and project management are different, right?
Well, that was
Yeah.
going to be my question. Do you believe there's a distinction between a task and a project? And if so, what are you actually talking about with tasks?
Great question.
Fuck yeah, we got to do.
Because
more
I've
of
been
this.
trying for so this takes up 60% of my brain at all times. It's like how this works.
That's too much percent.
Project
Yeah.
is
Project
like a
is how
series
you
of
organize
tasks.
tasks.
So, at a general level, for me, project is like a bucket you put tasks into. Except my buckets have bigger buckets, which is client, and every client has its own weight. Every project.
I'm
has
thinking
its
it
own
might
weight.
help with flies to get rid of some of these.
But it's all for me. It's about size. So, a task it represents a certain amount of effort on my part, and a certain number of those represents a project. And usually, the projects are about. I like to break them up so they're about the same. If the client thinks a project is bigger, I'll chunk it up into project A, which is sub-project under project 1 is this, which is these tasks and that kind of thing. That just keeps me as honest with myself as I can about I have this number of tasks, which represents roughly this amount of time. Effort / time. Usually it's like a one-to-one relationship. So I'm thinking about projects and tasks, mostly just it's a scale question.
Okay.
As you break down. For different clients that have their own task management systems, so two answers that question for me. One, I flat out refuse to be in anyone else's task management system. Like they manage their stuff, they give me stuff, and then it's on my plate. But I don't.
So you use your tool not for collaboration, but for like internal organization.
What am I going to do?
Yep.
I look for task boarding because I want to be able to control that. However, there is a tool called Tonken, Tonken, Kean. When I tell you I've tried every single project / tax management system, I'm not kidding. This tool called Tonken, it costs, I think right now it costs $17 a person per license, and it's designed specifically to sync tasks between systems. And on top of that, they have an AI. It's not perfect, but it's better than the nothing that we normally have. They have an AI follow-up engine, so the tasks get created in one, they get synced over to this other one. It keeps the progress in sync across the two, and then it connects to a Slack account and will follow up with you to make sure that the status of the task is progressing, so it's on time, so that whoever's in charge of watching all of the tasks across all the different teams knows, okay, this task is falling behind, because it'll just reach out in Slack and say, hey, you said this one is supposed to be done by next week. Is it still on track for that? Do you still think it's going to be done by then? And they say yes or no. And then Slack tells the system, which then rates everything and then flags the tasks or the projects that are going to fall behind, so that somebody can reallocate resources or whatever. So that, I use that. It's not designed for freelancers. It's designed for teams, where the different departments use different tools. So like if you worked at Keep and you had the product team and the development team, and they want to use different systems, which I'm sure they do, it keeps everything in sync. So like who needs to know like how the general process is going, it can keep it on task. But I think back to your question, Michael, about if you're not tech savvy, you don't want to go down the task warrior route. My first response is, I know it seems daunting, but it's not that hard. So it's worth looking in and expanding into that area. But two, it's as simple as, and I made the most recent video that I made was like how to go through the process of assigning a ranking, a score.
There were two, right? There were two videos on this?
Yeah.
Because the video I watched was like, hey, if you haven't watched the other one, watch that one first.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, there's one that I made that is basically, I just go through the exercise of, okay, we have these 5 clients. This one pays us this much, this one pays us this much. We like this one more than that one. We like what we're doing for this one, but we don't like the client, whatever. Real. I may or may not have been drawing on, not any specific people, but real world experience.
Sure.
To give them a ranking, so that, because when it comes down to it, you need to be able to make a determination. Even if you have 10 tasks on your list, even if you've got stuff calendared or whatever, at any given moment, you need to be able to look at your list and think, this is the thing that I should be doing now, as opposed to these other things. Like if there's a tie, which one comes first?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're always going to just like be floundering around and like I always say that it's the squeaky wheel syndrome. The clients that are the loudest, which are usually the ones you like the least, are the ones you do the work for because they're the loudest.
Whereas, and then you end up neglecting the people who you like prefer to be working with.
Like you and pay you more.
That makes sense.
Et cetera, right?
That makes sense.
And so, again, speaking from experience, so for me, it comes down to just creating a system that you can rely on, and then relying on the system to tell you what you need to do. Because like as a freelancer, I don't have a manager or like a project person that's like keeping me on task. If I did, then I just do what they tell me to do.
Yeah.
But in this case, I have to build it myself. Yeah. I have to come up with something. So, and as more and more people are moving into freelancing, starting their own thing, like I think it becomes, especially as they transition from maybe a more corporate gig where they do have somebody that tells them what to do. Like when you get it, you flounder. That's the first thing you do. Is you're like, so much to do. I'm so overwhelmed. And but when I just know for me, I'm overwhelmed from the minute I stop following this system till the minute I stop or start. And then as soon as I all the way up until I discovered this and started putting this in place, I was always overwhelmed and like just drowning. And then I put it in place and like no stress. I know that I'm doing the right thing.
Has it ever failed?
Well, for the 3 months I was doing it didn't. Then as soon as I switched over and tried to use a different system, like now I'm back under that, but now I'm realizing I gotta get back into that system. So
what do you guys both use Basecamp? And is that a product of your own choosing or nature of like clients you collaborate with, or that's what Blitz uses or whatever?
It's what Blitz uses for their project management system. So we're in Basecamp quite a bit. And I typically will take all of my stuff and just like throw it into Google Calendar and like sort out my day that way.
But you guys are pretty organized. You talked about like planning your day like planning, I imagine, more than just one day at a time, or like knowing how you're gonna block things out. Do you have a software that you use for that, or how do you? Is it just like discipline? You just have to remember to hold yourself accountable and do it.
Discipline is definitely one. I know for me, using Basecamp has a scheduling feature where they actually give you like a calendar, all of your to-dos, and you can kind of map out your week. So I'll do that on each of the projects I own, and then I also do that across like my individual tasks. So just kind of being able to see like where my week is at and like how much work is there will actually allows me to be able to either push things into the next week or even say like it's just not a high enough priority and like push it out to a month out or something. So, what are you?
I mean, I agree with what you said earlier about that you just need to have a process. So whatever system you're going to use, you need to have a process. So for example, like in Basecamp, I've just recently started to figure out like my process, and it uses that scheduling tool. So like, you know, my day starts, I go through, instead of looking at my whole schedule at once, so it's not that overwhelming thing, I actually look at it on a per client basis or per project basis. And I say, what was due today? If there's anything I can push ahead or nudge or whatever. And what I try to do is I try to get everything down to, I have to be sitting in front of my computer to actually do this to do. Otherwise, it's nudging somebody or pushing a thread ahead or something like that. And then you just kind of do that through each client. And then at the end of that, you've pushed ahead the low-hanging fruits and nudged people and whatever you need to do. And then you can actually sit in front of your computer knowing that everything on your list of to-dos actually requires you to need to be in front of a computer. And so you can just go to it.
Yes.
And then combining that with deep links makes your life easier. So like if
With
I need
what?
deep links.
Deep? Are you saying DEEP?
DEEP links, yes.
Okay.
A deep link. It allows you to just to not lose momentum in your day to day. So if there's like if there's like a Facebook ad campaign that I have to review, I literally link directly to the campaign in the task. So all I got to do, open the task, click one link, and then there I am. I
So
can start
rather
working.
than logging into your
Go
ads
to
manager, finding the right
Facebook.com,
account,
yeah,
loading.
You just
Okay.
waste so
That's
much
genius.
time.
Okay.
You waste so much time
Days-
with page
days of
load.
that.
I know,
Totally.
right? I deep link to everything. I have
Yeah.
and I've actually got every client. I've deep linked them in the same order too as bookmarks.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So every client has their own bookmark
You're
folder.
giving me a good
at the top.
idea right now for
What is this good idea? Go for it.
It's for a product.
Ooh.
And it's something related to like recency deep links. So like let's say you didn't even actually have to generate that list of links for a client,
Kind of like how Infusion's
but
better.
but based on the task you're in, it just looks up who the client's related to and where you've been spending your time, like while you're working on that project, and it like it could be like an extension or something, and just like based on where you were locationally, it would automatically populate like.
Is this
Here's
what you were
the
doing?
Facebook. Yeah, is this what you're doing?
Go
so
back
then
to
so
here?
then you wouldn't have to even spend the time to like copy the ad campaign,
Yeah.
or maybe you
That's
do
a
it once
whole-
up
that's
front
a
or something.
Whole other, like, just wormhole we could go down about like extra time that you have to spend and eliminating.
Oh my god! Well, think about the clients that we work with, right? Or us sometimes with passwords, just like
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
and
Passwords, time tracking,
or link where
invoicing.
they go to log in. Like think about when with Keep and Infusionsoft, everyone's kind of worked in that here.
They just go
like,
to the homepage.
Yeah, they
and
go to the
log
homepage,
in,
then they click
and-
login, and
Like, yo, just
that just
bookmark your
kills me
app.
every time. Yeah. So that's like that type of
Yeah.
stuff, though. I'm guilty of that on a lot of the things that I work on too, where like I'll just do it this time and I'll remember to shortcut it next time. But if there was something if there was like some sort of product or extension that just like forced you, and it was always thinking about the quickest way
Yeah.
to get to where you want to be,
Well,
that would be.
I don't think that'd be that difficult because it's just a matter of
We got Brett developing it already.
well, because all you got to do is keep track of how often one thing leads to another thing, and like how quickly it happens. Like the Infusionsoft thing. is
Predictive text.
Yeah,
Like, is this
no.
where you're going?
Yeah, because like Google
Ah,
already does
yeah.
a pretty good job of knowing what you have texted and pre-searching what you're starting to search based on all this stuff. But if it
Go for
knew
it. Wrap it up.
that if you search every time you search Infusionsoft, you click and then it loads another page.
Yeah.
If it just knew, okay, he wants to go to the login page. He's not
Yeah.
trying to like research Infusionsoft.
I don't know.
You know.
I have
Just
two.
on it.
I have two contributions to make. Number one, do you guys use Paste app or
Control
a
V?
clip? Do you use
Copy
any
paste?
clipboard manager?
No.
So Paste is the one that I use.
It stores history.
It keeps a track of everything you ever controlled.
That's really nice.
So if I
that's
know it's a
really,
link I've copied
really
before,
nice.
Wow. That's
I
great.
can
Yeah.
open Paste and start to type whatever the thing
You know what's
is,
incredible
and
about
it's like,
this?
here
I've
it is, and
always
it's like
wanted-
that's
I've
the
wanted that
complex.
so
wanted
bad.
more options. Like,
Oh my
not
God,
just
it's
so-
copy. I want to copy like three
it's
things with
so
hotkeys.
good.
What's it called?
It's called Paste. It's
Paste.
called Paste app. Yeah,
Oh,
and I
wow.
believe it's Mac specific, but I'm sure there's a clipboard manager
course.
one for
There's gotta be.
PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, Windows
They have a
did
lot
something
of
automatically
total-
at a,
total
at
game
some
changer.
point, but it's gone now.
It was $25 a year ago,
So good.
and it's like, you know, if you guys have TSA pre-check,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever, $80 for 5 years, and
Yeah.
it pays for itself every time I
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
Paste is that tool for my computer. I'm obsessed with it.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned, Michael, that we like, oh, I'm just going to do it away for now. But I get into this so often where I'll stumble across something, like Task Warrior. I stumbled across it because I was so fed up after 15 years. Task Warrior's been around for like 20.
Yeah.
It's an old app. Like, it's been around forever.
Yeah.
And it took me suffering through, and it wasn't like it was that hard for me to find.
No.
I just needed to like put myself in the right frame of mind to where we find these and it's like paste is not something that if we had just been like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find it.
Yep.
I do this. I
Scott Richens turned me onto it, and at first it took me like a week or two to like. It's a different keystroke, right? Instead of Control V to paste, it's like Control Shift V.
Oh yeah.
But it opens up
Opens
on
it
the
up.
bottom all of these cards that have it's my paste history, and then you have folders in there. So for like my Access Ally links or the Access Ally auto login extension, right, that I don't remember every time, or the HTTP posts that I use throughout campaigns, they're all in there, and you can organize them. All, my affiliate links, stuff that I want to go to on a regular basis, but I keep in a swipe file. Rather than going to the swipe file, they're all on this clipboard manager, so you open it and click on it.
That's
So,
awesome.
so what this makes me think of, and I promise I won't stay on this topic too long,
alright.
is Fortnite. And the reason
Go on.
the reason why,
In this segment, this
the-
is the segment we like to call Michael Talks About Fortnite.
yes, each week we bring you 5 minutes of Fortnite contribution. No, but in Fortnite, if you watch like the elite players of Fortnite, this is a very good metaphor and analogy. They use you can use an Xbox controller and to like build and shoot and those types of things, or you can use a keyboard, which is faster, so the better players use a keyboard. But within the keyboard, then the other option you have is you can, like you can on
Hotkeys.
stuff you can do hotkeys, right? To like build a different way. So I'm just thinking about how like this is not just for us in this work environment that we're all used to. It's literally with anything. The people that are functioning at the highest level are always looking to innovate shortcuts and do all those types
Oh
of
my
things.
god,
Yeah.
how many of y'all use the Facebook Ad Manager shortcut keys?
I'm never in Facebook
Only
Ads
you.
Manager, so
I think only you.
yeah.
And
I'm not
now
in
that
it.
I know,
Yeah.
but
What is it?
Yeah, I
but
didn't
I
even
didn't
know
know
there
there
was.
such a thing.
Yeah,
Right?
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is it?
Sense.
What
My
is
mind
it?
is already blown because Facebook Ad Manager
Slow
is
to
the
click
bane of
through.
my existence.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I hate it so much so that I'm this close. Not, I just signed into the Facebook Ads client, so not that close. But
From
so
from
close
Fortnite to
just signing it
Facebook.
all.
Unbeknownst to them.
Yeah,
So
I'm out, guys.
Yeah.
so what is it? What does it let you
so
do?
there's a bunch of shortcut keys in the Facebook's Ad Manager because, as you know, there's 3 levels to it. There's the campaigns and the ad sets and ads. So it is, but for navigation, Alt 1, 2, or 3 puts you to the campaign, ad set, or ad level based on whatever
What
you
you're looking
selected.
at, yeah.
Control U edits whatever is checked, so you can do mass edits, just like you've always been able to do it as Power Editor,
Control backspace delete.
Control backspace delete stuff. It'll delete whatever object's there.
Huh.
Control D does a quick duplicate, so it spins up that same object in the same house as before, which is great when you're doing
That's
a
the
whole
ice
bunch
cream
of
man if
targeting.
anyone wants ice cream.
We all run off camera.
Yeah, we do.
Hi.
One of my favorites is Control R. That's publish. So just you just Control U, Control R, and then you wait for it to save and do all its bullshit in the background, and then when you can hit the publish button, then you just hit the publish button. There's a
My
handful of
life is
other
about
ones
to
out
get a
there.
little bit easier. I love it.
Yeah, actually, so Control U, right? That row of characters of like Y, U, IP, whatever, that actually hits like the edit, the charts, the history.
Oh, those
Of
the
them all?
little links that are
Yeah,
there.
so there's little 4 rows there.
Interesting.
So don't ever touch the keyboard again unless you're actually typing stuff.
That's cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
I wonder.
You had another one that you wanted to say. I'm interested.
Thank you. I had a
Yeah,
pin
you
in
said
it.
one too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think this is not the second one, so I got a third now. But I think most apps probably have hotkeys like that, or shortcuts
do.
that people don't realize.
Trello.
So like
Trello,
Infusionsoft.
Basecamp,
Yeah.
Infusionsoft, who
Oh,
uses
yeah.
their Gmail shortcut keys.
Yeah,
Calendar.
right.
Calendar does.
Or I forget who showed me, but I was talking to Brett Fairborn yesterday, and I told him about doc.new in your browser,
Oh, right,
in your
yeah.
URL bar, or sheet.new opens a new Google Sheet. Slides.new opens a new Google Slide.
Because isn't that's
Game
another-
changer.
Wait, what?
Wow.
If you
Instead of
go to
going to
Docs and
Google.docs
yeah,
and
So,
then
oh my
clicking
gosh,
here.
getting a new Google Doc
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like
So
20 steps.
Control L puts your cursor in the browser.
Doc
and
dot-
doc.new.
Yep.
So never leave the keyboard.
Nope,
Control
never
L
leave the keyboard.
doc.new. It's and
This
it works
is-
in
dude,
Fire.
this is
At first I thought
valuable
it was
lunch.
just Chrome because I was like, well, Google Suite. No, but it works in Firefox too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Genius.
You
Yeah.
guys
Okay.
create a blog post on every
Hotkey.
hotkey.
Yeah.
Gmail,
So here's a pro
Docs,
tip,
just
actually.
all
we
of
need
them.
an
Any
extension
system that has a
just
hotkey
says it when you're in
It's
it.
usually modeled
Yeah.
after Gmail and how Google does
Has
it.
a little legend.
The reason I learned Trello's hotkeys so quickly is because they're almost a clone of
It makes
Gmail.
sense for them to like adopt whatever's popular or
exactly.
well known. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
You know what I
sense.
want to figure out now? Those are probably based on Vim, which is another. Everything goes back to the command line.
Right.
What's Vim?
Vim is a.
I mean, I know, of course, but for people who
For everybody
people who might
else.
not.
I'm going. Okay, everyone who knows what
Very-
Vim is, I'm gonna do a terrible. I'm gonna totally bastardize what it actually is, but it's like a super souped up file/text editor that you use. But it's like if Microsoft Word was on steroids and then was on steroids again, like, but
If their
Talking about
steroids took steroids.
yeah, the steroids took steroids and then they took those steroids.
Yeah.
And then it's all like command line, like crazy specificity and like command, like keystrokes, hotkeys to do specific tasks. Like,
Okay.
you know, look up every instance of this type, like this character string, and then replace it with this, and then find. Anyway, there's like all kinds of crazy things you can do. But it's all about when you can only use your keys and you don't use your mouse at all because in that environment.
DOS style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you end up having to be able to do all these keystrokes. But it turns out that using the keyboard is like 1 billion times faster if you know what the
Yeah.
hotkeys are, which we are proving. That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what does Vim stand for? Not to put you on the spot.
It's actually, they evolved into Vimeo. That's where they got their video platform.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Very, very interesting, Michael. Oh,
Well played.
There you go. That's something you can tell people at parties to sound smart, and they're gonna be like,
yeah.
no.
Also,
What kind of parties are you going
Oh
to?
my god, like the car.
Okay, Thing the Third.
Originally
Previously,
your second
Thing the
contribution.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Formerly known
Contribution.
as.
Yeah, is back to deep linking, and I don't know if this is the same thing, but like, if you use Infusionsoft, and many of the people who are at this table or may ultimately watch this video would, and you use tasks, right? You can have a task created in a sequence, and then you can have a goal that is concluded. So the sequence is concluded when that task is achieved, right? But not everyone completes the task that when they're supposed to complete it, and like there isn't a great way in Infusionsoft to be like nudge me repeatedly until this thing is done. So what some people will do is build like use an email but change the to, so instead of going to the contact it goes to the person who's responsible for the task, and bake in reminders to yourself for however long it takes. And what I have done with those reminders is like say, hey, you're getting this reminder because such and such task was supposed to be done. It either wasn't done or you forgot to mark it as completed, right? And then rather than say, go into Infusionsoft and find this contact and look them up, you can use the merge field for the contact record.
Yep.
Right? So I think it's contact.edit page with E and P capital. But
I didn't know
that
there was a merge field for it.
yeah.
Holler.
Yeah.
We built a
You
feature
build them,
for it
I know, and
in
you add
Plus
the
This.
URL or the ID onto the end of the link, right? Yes. Yeah, so there is a merge field for it. Most people
It's
don't
like
know
where
about
Plus This got started was that feature.
it. I think actually Paul wrote a blog post for me called Secret Merge Fields.
I did write a blog post
And
on
I
secret merge
believe this
fields.
was one of them, or maybe I added it as
probably.
I don't
It
remember, but
probably
either way,
was.
this is one of those use cases. I don't know though, and this is where the deep linking is. This deep linking,
This is
taking
the
them to like
idea, yeah.
right
Yeah,
where you
the-
need to go.
Yeah.
But
It
is
is-
there a way to link to a task?
So is there a
Because
link
from
to
there,
yes.
from the contact record, all you have to do is scroll down and find the task. But I don't
Does a
know
task
if
have a
there's a
unique
way.
URL?
So
That you
the
can
answer would
reference
be-
with the contact ID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the answer right there with deep links. We're trying to figure it out. Just look at the URL, and if on the
Which
page
variables
that you're on,
are unique,
what's
yeah.
there, you know. That's why Facebook's. That's why you can link directly to a Facebook campaign or ad set or even a distinct ad, because every time you click on something, it's actually a new URL. It's changing something in the query string. So, when you're deep linking, yeah, Greg, you got it. That's as far down the path that you can take people without getting ridiculous. Yes, there is a unique URL for tasks, and you would need to somehow push the task ID in and then merge that into there.
Yeah.
But you've kind of done like the perfect balance where you've like automated it as much as you can, and then the human minimizes it. So you get this email, you click once into the task. Let's assume you're logged into Infusionsoft.
Yes, exactly.
Scroll down and click into the text, into the completion date. Press T on your keyboard and press enter.
Or
Control W to close your tab.
can you
it's
link
done.
to the quick view? You know how there's like quick view search results
Yeah.
for the contact? I'm sure there's a URL for that can you pull that up so that all you have to do is click on the tasks tab rather
Okay.
than find it on the contact record. I don't know
So
if that's fewer
you can.
clicks,
What
but
you-
like
what may
You're
work.
building a different link.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
You could do that. What may work better is remember that interactive pane thing is part of My Day. So just link to My Day directly, and then there's your task.
It should be, and I'm sure in the URL you can build the filter that's like show me overdue or whatever.
Probably. I don't know if I don't think My Day's URL changes, unless you go to the calendar of the task. That's
Okay.
different. Kinda.
So either way, that's when you said deep linking, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And then as you described it, I was like, oh, this is what I've done,
Yeah.
and it's the same vein.
So here's a great example. Like, I know there's a lot of people that agency stuff out here, right? So let's say like lead pages. I built a lead page for somebody, right? Somewhere in your project management stuff, put a deep link directly to the edit page for that. Because like, how many clients name something the same thing, and it's like, you know, you can't tell what's what.
Yeah.
Well, that becomes a complete non-issue if from within your project management, you just deep link directly into the landing page. Or even better, like when we're doing a plan, you know, if one box is like, hey, here's the landing page, as soon as that asset gets generated, we hyperlink the plan directly to the admin of that landing page. And then that way, I got to edit the landing page, you just go to the plan, because you know that you can click, and within one click, you're in the system. And most things will take you to where you're supposed to
Smart.
go
It's really
upon logging in. If you're
So
not
much
already
better
logged
than
in.
shallow linking. We
Brilliant.
can all agree here, right?
Oh yeah,
Totally.
sure.
I don't want to get
Freaking
political.
shallow
If
linkers.
Yeah.
hang on, Paul.
Hot take.
Shallow
Yeah.
linking versus deep linking.
Yeah.
All those for shallow linking, say aye. All
Aye.
those for deep linking, aye.
Aye.
I'm not comfortable saying I in front of this group of people for shallow linking, but I am a guilty shallow linker as of now. I'll say that.
Ooh, we should make shirts say I'm a shallow linker.
Yeah.
Are you a shallow linker?
But
You know,
no, this is
I
good.
think something that when we can. I don't want to be the last person to talk, but I have been sitting on this.
Yeah.
So I want to get it out. You know how you sit in the conversation, you're like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. I have something I want to say.
I had 3 things I wanted to say. So it's
Yeah.
not a contest, but
You win. You were talking before about putting stuff in your calendar. You guys are doing that with calendaring inside Basecamp, which I think is that's like the ultimate panacea of task management. Is like, I'm supposed to be doing this because it's what's calendared for right now.
Yep.
But I, unfortunately, am one of those people who reviles, even against myself, if I find that someone's trying to tell me what to do. Even again, if it's me 10 minutes ago. And so, I think this comes down to like knowing yourself. If you know that you have a really hard time with even yourself managing you, coming up with a system like deep linking, I think that's brilliant. It's just so much easier. It does require that you deep link every time.
It's mindfulness. You have
Because
to
the
be
one
aware.
time you don't, screws everything up.
Yep.
You can't not do it because you have to have that discipline. But on the other hand, it's not like you can't not have some system. So like deep linking is one way of getting around it. What we did at 6th Division was approaching it from the other angle, which is creating a system where without thinking about it beforehand, you know going afterwards where everything sits because of the way we named everything. So instead of like putting it all in at the front, we would put it all in at behind. And so I think whether you put stuff in your calendar and then work off of that for your task list, which I think is, again, I wish I could be that disciplined. Or for me, it's just I need to know what the one thing is that I need to do, and I can just go do that. And then I have a system where everything fits, and I know how it's associated with whatever else needs to happen. And that's, that actually works with the way my brain works. So I don't have to waste like 50% of my energy like struggling with myself. No, I don't. You can't tell me what to do. I do what I want to do. There's probably a lot to unpack there for with, like,
for your therapist. Yeah.
That's therapy lunch.
Yeah, exactly. But knowing like between now and when I do that, I gotta like do things, finish tasks, and like make clients happy. So it's like knowing yourself, knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at, and then coming up with something. So I think it's like you got to figure out for you guys. We kind of have a pretty good idea. We've been doing it long enough. Have a pretty good idea for the way we like to do things, but don't do things just because I said so. Because I'm insane. You know what I mean?
Josh, do you use a tool, or do you use whatever your clients use?
So I use whatever my clients use.
So do you use a handful?
A bunch of them. Yeah.
Is that annoying?
It is. So I found for me it's more important.
I'm really feeling your sunglasses, by the way.
Not to put it in order of like importance for me. Obviously, there's like that certain level, but like I just know, like the tasks that involve more like problem solving and like thinking, like I don't have a solution for, I have to do in the morning. Because if I do them like late in the afternoon, I'm just like gonna sit on them and I'm not gonna do them efficiently.
That's an interesting layer to this. It's like the matrix for prioritization. Is
that's
that where am I most productive on which types of tasks?
That's always what I'm trying to optimize for myself. It's like when do I work the best, and that's kind of when I want to put my most creative. Most like I need to be in a good headspace for this task. And then I have a lot of like just mindless like I'm gonna put a podcast on and do these, which I kind of do in the afternoon or like later in the evening.
Do you guys? I don't use a task management tool.
Yeah.
It's amazing that I get anything done.
That's what I said.
Period. Just air that shit. Do you also schedule in? We've only really talked about client work. Do you schedule in like? Or like I need to write a blog post, or like I'm gonna edit my own content. Like how does that fit in terms of prioritization? Because you talk about like prioritizing clients who pay you the most. right. That's what I'm saying. Is like if I sit down at my desk and I have pressing customers from active members, pressing questions from active customers is what I was trying to say. Or I can go like R&D style, explore this tool that I'm excited about that may turn into a blog post that may well, it's easy. I'm going to answer the members' questions.
And then you're going to ask me, and I'm going to go explore it.
I'll derail whatever Brett's on. Yeah.
So what Greg is saying is basically the opposite of what Brett is saying, which is you don't need a system to be very successful. So we're going to leave you at that.
No.
Figure it out.
Well,
no, I'm
actually,
joking. Obviously.
Here's the thing. Greg has systems. They're just not distinct.
Yeah, up there.
He
Yeah.
knows.
Well, and part of that too, I think, is because it's
100%.
It's the system that Greg has created. Like your business is polar opposite from mine or Josh's.
Yeah.
Because where we are very,
client
I got to
work,
do this and this, I got to please somebody else. You are very, well, I've made the thing for the bulk of my clients, the courses, and everything else is as it comes up, you solve it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like question.
Yeah, reactionary. Yeah.
And so in terms of like you're always doing the most important thing, and it's one task, and it's always there, which is answer questions.
Yeah.
And then a secondary task is deal with some sort of support issue, which I'm sure you don't. I mean, there probably are those, but not that often.
Yep.
And then for you, I think it does come down to how do you know when to, like, how much of your time in one day should be allocated for one of those tasks versus taking that time to then go and explore your own stuff. You know what I mean?
It is only me, so fortunately it's worked. But at some point, or at various points, I've dabbled in like hiring on help for certain things, but I've struggled to offload because I don't have a clear SOP. Like, here's what you're doing, and then I'm no longer doing this. And so I'm wondering for the folks who like hear this and they're like, yeah, where do I begin? Is it that like measure what you do and like document it and then figure out like what you should or shouldn't be doing or how long it should take, and then how do I get that to like how do I make that take less time? Like, I
just think you need to know what's most important to you. And like not just business, like everything that you touch, put it on a piece of, this is what I would recommend. Put everything you touch on a piece of paper. Put them in order of what's most important to you personally. It's hard. Because I had to put like Sue and Muay Thai above or below each other, and then like the dogs, and then work, and then making videos. That's not the order, by the way.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Mystery. But if you put them in order, and you get to decide what criteria you use to figure out what is more important than something else.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you haven't at least informally decided what's more important than other things in your life, you're always going to be pulling from whatever's either the most recent that's yelled at you. This is
Or the
always what it comes
loudest.
down
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Most recent, loudest, or whoever you're going to talk to next. So like, this is easy for me to talk about from a client perspective, because how many times have you rushed to complete a task because you got a call with that
Oh,
client?
tons.
Right?
Sure.
Or client calls you at 9 o'clock in the morning in the middle of your productivity time, pissed off about something, and you do
Drop
exactly
everything.
whatever they said. You drop
Yeah,
it for them
totally.
and do it right then. Exactly.
Why
So
are you
it's-
taking calls in the middle of productivity time?
Well, so that's
That's-
another problem.
Yeah,
right?
you
That's
gotta
the whole
learn.
thing.
You
But,
gotta
like, they call or they send an email and you
Yeah.
happen to see it. That's why I don't look at emails ever. Like I wait like
I think
2
Paul
days.
checks his email twice a week or something.
Yeah.
Like
Something like that. Yeah.
Same, I get all my people in Slack
On the
telling
other
them that
toilet.
I'll
Twice
check it
a
more
week.
often, and then I don't.
I try to do
even,
about once
dual,
a day.
Yeah.
dual productivity.
I
Well,
call
because
it
that's what
something
happens.
else.
I put the do
When
not
you're
disturb
posting
on
on
my
Facebook
computer
or you're
all
on
the
Twitter.
time.
Yeah, 'cause you
Otherwise,
don't
just
have-
Slack message,
you don't
text
have-
It's like
message,
shit
something.
talking.
and
Right.
Just takes me
Because
out
what
for a
happens is
second.
I'm
in
guilty
your head,
of
in that
that.
moment where somebody's pissed off at you, like right now,
The emotional side.
I can
takes it,
stand up on my little soapbox and say nothing's more important than the system and blah blah blah. But I can name no less than 5 times in the last 48 hours when something's happened
Priority.
and it's all gone to shit.
Yeah.
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 Because my brain, and it's like clients that I don't really don't really care that much about, that don't really bring me that much. Something happens and I freak out. And like not 20 minutes before, I've been thinking or making a video about this isn't as important as these other things. And
Yeah.
in the middle of it, that emotion takes over. Our little lizard brain goes crazy. And if we haven't decided
Yeah.
beforehand, it's like I'm bringing all kinds of random metaphors. It's like the drugs talk they give you in elementary school. If you didn't say no beforehand, you're not going to say no when it happens. It's the same thing. So if you haven't figured out, so you know, this is what my priority list is.
That's
the first thing that's
interesting.
going to happen is you're going to realize I'm trying to do too many things. That's what happens to me all the time.
That's a really good point. And around that is like, if you know that you're going to get distracted, especially in certain moments, eliminate the distractions. If I can talk here.
Like what?
So for example, like I will. So Paul has his inbox training, and like you basically just have to go and sort your emails in between replies and to-dos. And so I do that from my phone. I don't even bother doing it on my computer because that eliminates the chance.
The
I'm
other
gonna-
things that you're doing while you're in your computer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the other browsers that could be open. So like with the Basecamp threads
bad.
too, I'll also go through and I'll just kind of check all my notifications just on my phone, and then it eliminates the distraction because I know like I can go in and just do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I will close the Slack app because if I see the red dot,
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
bother me.
Yes.
Same.
I'm like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
what, and then I'll go see it, and I think, no, I just need to see it. I need the dot to go away, and I'll see the message, and then it like, if it's he's in here, and then it's like, I'll see it, and immediately I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, and then like it'll gnaw on me.
Totally. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Same
Because
way.
you
Turn it
know.
off, 'cause
Same
you
way.
know, but if you don't, it's like everything's good,
Oh.
everything's fine.
Do
But
you
then
think-
when you're in a headspace for it, you can actually
Where do you think this ranks on the list of like challenges for people who are transitioning into freelance or self-employment? It's high, right?
Yes.
Perhaps
Right up there.
I was gonna say the biggest challenge, but I don't know. Like I said, it's probably an individual thing, but like it's probably what people underestimate most regularly is like the ability to self leadership
Yeah.
and like
Discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline, yeah.
That's one thing I personally have been learning recently, and like it's even little things as like I can't listen to music with lyrics when I'm
neither.
trying to focus.
Yep, same-
Like, and
same way.
that was like the biggest
Huh.
problem that I had when trying to go from like being in corporate Infusionsoft, where like the work was just like here's what you have to do today,
yep.
to like you have to figure out what you have to do today. Is like you really have to focus, and like so for me, I have to listen
Yeah.
to binaural beats. I can't listen
Yeah.
to anything.
I
with
would listen to
lyrics.
podcasts
Sometimes
all the
I
time, and then
even-
at the end of the day, I'd be like, "Well, I learned a lot from." You know, I would like
The
convince
podcast.
myself, like, "Yeah, I'm learning all this stuff from podcasts," but I was like, "I can't be in 2 places
Yeah.
at once." Kind of.
Yeah.
I have to like have a designated time for that and a designated time for this, and just
and like and there are
focus
different
like
types of
relentlessly
music.
on what I'm
too
doing.
many tabs open.
Yeah, it
that-
is
yeah,
in your
that
mind.
work in different scenarios. Like I can't listen to music at all. I don't listen to music at all most of the time, unless like I have one client that most of the work for them is like that. I just got to go. It's all repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's either the binaural audio or like low key hip hop, like something with a beat,
A
that
beat,
like
a good
drives,
beat,
you know,
yeah.
that gets you into a rhythm, and it shoots up my productivity. But again, the minute you turn the lyrics on,
Yeah.
Brain
It's-
FM.
it's
You guys use
distracting.
Brain
Some-
FM?
somebody tried to tell me one time they like to watch TV shows while they're working.
What?
I was like, I like to watch TV shows. I can't work while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So there is one thing I heard around that. So if you're trying to learn something or really put focus into it, any kind of lyrics, like it's that language processing part
Yeah.
of the brain that
It's
it actually,
different than listening to just
Exactly. It actually takes like your brain power to be able to like comprehend what's being said on the TV show. So like if you listen to something that you've heard before multiple times, so like,
Yeah.
he watches Family Guy religiously.
Yeah.
So like he could probably sit there with Family
Good
Guy in the
choice.
background and like it's not gonna bother him. But
Right.
if he tried watching
something new or something that's
House of
more
Cards,
Boys,
like-
for example.
Boys,
Boys,
for
for
example.
example.
It could be distracting. Yeah.
It would be really distracting.
callbacks. What they call it.
So yeah.
All right, I think it's time to wrap up.
Cool.
This has been awesome. Closing thoughts? Anyone want to add anything?
I'm grateful for our guests today,
Oh yeah, thanks
Aw.
guys.
adding a
you.
spin, and also for Chef Greg's grilling abilities.
Yes. I forgot
Yeah.
to bring your
Team
hashes.
potluck. Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna underscore the importance and my appreciation for Paste app. Little shout out for that one. There was the name drop you gave for the person who we were watching on YouTube, the videos, the Canadian guy. What was his
Peter
name?
McKinnon.
Peter McKinnon. We'll give
Yo,
him a
Pete,
shout out.
Peace.
Yeah.
Name something really.
Deep links. Make
Deep
sure you're
links.
using deep links.
That's a good one.
Deep links.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with deep state.
Or deep fakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Which is a whole other
it's
thing.
a slippery slope.
Way more entertaining.